Okay, I know that Paris Saint-Germain save didn't end how we wanted it to. We did get to the Champions League final. We did win 3 trophies. We did get an obscene amount of points in the league, but the aim was to win the Champions League and we didn't do that. So we need to make this one a winner, and the way we're going to do that is by taking on a slightly easier challenge, like, I don't know, taking charge of the worst top flight team in all of Europe and trying to stop them from being relegated. Easy, right? Hello there and welcome to the second edition of One and Done, this time with Greuther Fürth of Germany. I'm StuBo, thank you very much for joining me in this episode and for the second edition of this mini-series. If you watched One and Done PSG and you enjoyed it, please do leave a like on the videos over there for me, and please leave a subscribe onto the channel too for more Football Manager goodness. And if you like the idea of a relegation themed One and Done, leave a like on this video as well. It would mean a lot to me and to the channel. But this is the team we're going to be taking over, Greuther Fürth. In fact, before we do that, we actually need to change the little window here. So 3, 2, 1. There we go. But yeah, Greuther Fürth, what do we know about this team? I know barely anything other than I remember seeing a couple of news reports a couple of months ago from me recording this, calling them the worst top flight club in Europe. I think it was in Europe, it might have been the world, but I'm definitely sure it was Europe. But yeah, so I don't really know what to expect here. But let's accelerate forward and let's see what we've got to work with. So we're a 3-star reputation club. We're predicted to finish 18th, which I think is bottom of the Bundesliga. It's a club that got promoted last season. If we have a look at their club history, they've actually won 3 Bundesligas, which I didn't know. So 1914, 1926, 1929. So all of them pre-World War II. And they've also won Bundesliga 2 in 2012. So they have been promoted in the past to the Bundesliga in recent history, and they have been a Bundesliga club in recent history as well. But right now, as of this moment, not so much. I mean, that wage budget looks tiny to me, absolutely tiny. And the transfer budget doesn't look much good either, and they've not got a lot of money from the looks of things. But we'll carry on, and we'll see how things go. So this is the starting lineup. So we've got Juan-Luca Itter, who at one point was a wonder kid, I do believe. If he's the one I'm thinking of, he's a decent signing. Also a decent signing is Jetro Williams. I didn't realise he was here as well. We've got a couple of players that I'm a little bit surprised at, but in a good way. Justin Hugma, I remember the name of as well. There's a few players I know the names of here, which is pretty impressive actually. But I can imagine it's still going to be a bit of a challenge. He's recommending a 4-3-1-2. Don't know whether we will do that, but we'll have a look at it. So, let's have a look at what they want us to do here. Develop players using the club's youth system. I mean, that's not really going to be for us, but we'll have a look at what youth players they do have. Play attacking football. That's bold for a club that's definitely on the market for relegation. Work within the wage budget. I promise nothing. And they want us to fight bravely against relegation and reach the second round of the DFB Pokal. I don't know how this is going to go. The fact that they want us to fight bravely against relegation says everything, I think. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a different challenge. We're not going to have the money to spend. It's going to be even less money than West Ham. It's going to be even less money than my Coventry save currently going over on Twitch, twitch.tv/StuBoFM. Check me out over there to see more wonderful Coventry stuff. I mean, if you're watching this in the future, I probably am not playing with Coventry. Depending on how far it is in the future, I might not be on FM22. Who knows? But yeah, that is a tiny budget. In fact, we have a close look at the finances. We've got 6 million in the bank, so we've actually got a bit more money at the club than I thought we did. But those budgets, I mean, we're not maxing out the wage budget, so that's something. So we've currently got £8,000 a week spare, which is glorious. But let's have a quick nose at, don't want to do that. Let's have a quick nose at the squad and see what we've got. So we currently, with players in, we have a squad of 26. So we could probably afford to move on 1 or 2 players as a result of that. Looking at the best players at the club, we've got Cedric Itten, who's currently on loan from Rangers, of all places. And he looks all right. He's a striker, decent finishing. He's come in this season. He's only scored 4 goals for Rangers, actually, so maybe he's not that good. We've also got Branimir Hrgota, who I do believe is our captain. I could be completely wrong on that, but I've got a feeling he is the captain. He is going to be the man leading the line. He has scored 26 goals and 63 appearances since 2019. And yeah, I think he is going to be the one leading the line for us. Then we've got a defensive midfielder, Sebastian Griezbeck. No youth caps, no normal caps for Germany. But he looks pretty solid. He could do a job for a 6'3". You know I like a big lad in the midfield. Adrian Fine, another defensive midfielder, is next best player. He's a playmaker. Good passing, good vision. Flair's a bit average, but he does look like he likes to pass the ball around nicely. Then we've got Paul Seguin, another midfielder, defensive midfielder or central midfielder. German, 26 years old. He's actually got 1 under-21 caps, so he looks like he could be decent. Scored 10 goals and 77 appearances for a defensive midfielder. That's not bad, actually. And then we've got Julian Green. I seem to remember this guy being somewhat of a wonder kid in the past. Obviously, he's not that at the moment, but I think he could be pretty cool for us, actually. Good ability just in general, actually. Whether it's enough to keep us out of relegation, I don't know. I mean, he's very aggressive, so maybe we need to tell him to calm down a little bit. Then we got Jeremy Dodziak, who is a attacking midfielder, or attacking-minded central midfielder, 25 years old. Again, 1 under-21 international cap for Germany. And then we've got Harvard Nelson, who's a striker. We've got a few strikers here, actually. I mean, they do play a 2-striker system. That would make sense. Not a very good striker, though. 18 goals and 65 appearances. Doesn't look overly impressive to me, but has got good work rate, so let's bear that in mind. And then, the one I didn't expect, Jetro Williams. Guy was an absolute legend on FIFA, and somehow he's found himself here. He looks to me far too good for a club like this. However, I'll take him with both hands. He's not the best defensive fullback, but we definitely, if we've got Jetro Williams, he's not being a defensive fullback. Speaking of fullbacks, we've got another one. Nick Viergerver. This is going to be a problem. Nick. Good old Nick. He's another left back. Probably plays centre back as well if we needed him to. He looks pretty decent. We did also have João-Luca Itta, who's another left back. He was at one point a really, really good player. Speaking of that, Justin Hugma, 23 years old, central defender. He'll do a job for us. And then in terms of potential, who we got? This guy, Jesse Nagancam, currently injured, but looks good. 20 years old, striker, German. Could be a decent talent, but currently is injured for 8 to 9 months. Well, we're not going to be using him then, are we? On loan. Why we've got him when he's on loan, I don't really know. It kind of feels like it's defeating the point a little bit. We've already looked at Adrian Fine and Itta and Seguin. We've got some very good players, is my point. Are they going to be enough to keep us up in the league? I don't know. If we have a look at the Bundesliga prediction, we already know what it's going to be, and it is that we are rock bottom. 700 to 1 to win the league. I don't think we're winning the league. Also, check that team of the year out. It is all Bayern Munich, apart from Rafael Guerreiro. We know what the weakness is for Bayern Munich when we play them. But yeah, I'm going to put together a team. I'm going to put together a tactic. And then we're going to have a look at whether there's any areas we can try and strengthen. I don't know what is going to happen in terms of strengthening the team. I don't know whether we've got the ability to do that. But we'll see what we can do. So bear with me a moment and I'll show you what I come up with in terms of the team. Okay, so I've had a fiddle and this is what I've come up with. It's fairly standard. It's a 4-3-3 Gegenpress. We've changed Gegenpress a little bit, trying to make it a little bit less intense. But looking at that starting 11, there's some decent ratings here. There are some noticeable areas that we have issues, though. Issue number 1 is right back. We've obviously got a currently injured right back who's out between 4 and 8 weeks, which is fine. Once he's back, he'll be a very, very good player. He's 25 years old. He does look pretty decent, but at the moment we don't have him. So if we do this and then remove him from the team completely, we've got that as a current gap. Then I would say we need another central midfielder. Not desperately, but we probably could do with one. So I don't think Sarpe is very, very good. I would like to move him on, actually. But if we can't move him on, he'll do a job for us. And Jamie Llewellyn, I don't necessarily think he's that good either, to be honest. He might have a bit of potential, actually. I'm not too sure. Let's have a quick nose. Does he have potential? He has a bit of potential. So he is a youngster who's come through. I don't know. This probably isn't the save for him. Timothy Tillman's the other one as well, actually. Both of them very similar. Might be okay, but probably this season's a bit too early for them. So if I could get another winger in and move one of those two on, I would very much appreciate it. So again, out wide, let's say that's an area that we need. They're the areas I'm thinking of at the moment. Oh, the other area as well is centre-back. We've got Bauer and Christiansen, who I don't think either are going to be good enough for us personally. We do have Gideon Young, who's currently out injured, who's 6'2", a decent defender. He's got some under-21 caps. He's got some quality about him, but he is injured. I think he's actually out for a good chunk of the season. Yeah, so we could do with someone up until he becomes readily available. So if we were to move one of these guys on, let's say, who's the shortest? Let's go with that. 6'2", 6'1", heading and jumping reach of that. Heading and jumping right. So it's you, Christensen, sorry. Out you go. So let's go with, if we can get anyone in, they're the positions we want. I would also not be against getting another backup goalkeeper, because Marius Funk, as great a name as he has, I don't think he's going to be good enough. He's 25 years old. I wonder if he's got any potential, actually. Has he got any potential? Absolutely none. So we could do with another backup goalkeeper as well. I don't know whether we're going to get all of that business done, but we'll give it a go. We'll see what happens. But I think we've got a decent core of a team. It's better than I was expecting, but obviously these star ratings are only relative to our team. I mean, if we go to Coach Report and have a look, what's his ability? It doesn't actually say here what his ability is, which is a bit of a concern. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do in this save. I actually am looking forward to it just because of how unknown it is. I've never done anything like this as a relegation challenge before. The closest I've done is I've kept Villa up in a save, and did very well with them in FM20. So I'm intrigued to see how it goes. We have also done a bit of a workaround and rebuild of the backroom squad, or at least the backroom staff, I should say, not the squad. Or I should say we're in the process of doing that. We've offered a lot of contracts out to staff who have either come through in our staff meetings or who we have advertised for. And yeah, we're waiting for some of those to come back. So we'll see whether we can get that done. I think if we get a good backroom team in, that could make up a couple of points in the long run, because we could keep players fitter. We could use it to identify better targets. We could use some of that staff to train the team a little bit better and get them to grow a bit more. So I think it is important that we pursue that as best as we can. But yeah, let's accelerate on. We've got some friendlies coming up. I'm not going to show you those. I'm going to skip ahead to the first day of the season. And if anything does happen, I'll show you then. But if not, then we'll see what the state of play is after those friendlies. And the first day of the league season has arrived. Technically, we have already played our first competitive game. It was a game against SV Meppen, who are in the third tier of German football, in the Pokal first round. We actually had to go to extra time to beat them, but beat them we did. Agoto and Nilsson getting the goals that got us through. So we're here. It's against Stuttgart. Stuttgart are predicted to finish, I know it's on here somewhere, 14th. So they're not expected to do very well, but they're expected to do better than we are. So we'll see how we do. In terms of transfers, it hasn't exactly gone the way I was expecting it to. Although, as you can see, there's been a lot of transfers this season before we've even taken over. We've only made 2 of them. It's these 2 down the bottom. We signed Andreas Lind, £250,000, I think, well spent. He's 6'5", he's 28, he's got a cap for Sweden. He's a good goalkeeper, in my opinion. I think he'll do a really, really good job for us. And then Samuel Lino, we've signed as well. Our record signing, it's nothing up front, but it's £4.5 million. And he, at the end of the day, he's a Brazilian winger. Of course. I didn't bring in a right back, which is one of the positions I said we did need, because our right back, who is injured, is nearly fit again. So I thought it was a little bit silly to try and do that. So we're actually going to leave that as is, and we're not going to worry too much about that. I did also want to sign a central defender. That hasn't happened, and we currently don't have any money. So if we come into some money by selling a player or two, we might have a look at that. Speaking of selling a player or two, we have sold a couple of players. Marius Funk, we have sold for £55,000. Obviously, we didn't need a third goalkeeper of first-team quality, so we've sold him, moved him on. It wasn't for a lot of money, and his wage budget, though the wage budget really hasn't been affected, if I'm being completely honest with you. And obviously, we've sold Emil Berggren. I don't know if you'd already seen this one, but we moved him on. Danish striker. We weren't going to be using him, and I mean, just didn't look very good to me, so we moved him on. Got some money, got him off the wage budget. And that helped fund the Lino and Lind transfers. And I can't remember whether this one was us. It won't be of us because it was the first. Anton Stash. I don't know whether this one was us as well. He went for £3 million. It definitely wasn't us, because I would have remembered that. And if he was good enough to be £3 million, we probably would have kept him. So that's disappointing. But that's all the transfer business has happened so far. We haven't actually got anyone else on the way because, again, as I've said, we've got no money. We're actually no transfer budget and over the wage budget at the moment, so not ideal. But that leaves the squad looking like this. I am relatively excited to see how it does. We've got 3 tactics set up, all of them with slight variations. This is the tactic I'm looking at as, let's go out there and compete. We're not going to be too silly, but we're going to see what happens. Sorry, I'd set something up and it had completely reset. Yeah, this is the 11 that we think we're going to be using if we think we can get something from a game. If we think we're going to struggle, we've got a 4-1-4-1, nice and classic. If you saw my Aston Villa save on Twitch at the beginning of this channel's existence, you will know that I use this to great effect at some points. And then we've also got this formation in the unlikely event that we think we can absolutely batter a team. I don't think this is going to happen very often, but we've got it set up just in case. But for today, we're going to be sticking with this. We think this will do. We think this will be a reasonable tactic to go with. So what I'm now going to do is similar to the PSG save. I am going to go ahead to about the quarter way through the season. So somewhere in the region of October, probably the end of October. When we get there, I'll show you how the team has done. I'll show you any transfers we made in the remainder of the transfer window. I'm hoping to get some bargains on deadline day. If I can get some free transfers, some free loan deals, that would be fantastic. And then we'll see how we're doing and how likely it is for us to keep this team in the Bundesliga. I am not overly confident, but we'll see what happens, shall we? We'll see what happens. So, see you in a moment. Wish me luck. I feel like I'm going to need it. I don't think for a second that this is going to last. However, 2 games in, we've won both of them. And I don't really... The first one I don't get. Stuttgart we shouldn't be beating, I don't think. But we did beat them. Beat them we did. It was 2-0. It was glorious. Hugma and Tillman with the goals. Tillman, who we've actually fallen out with and are currently in the process of selling for a decent amount of money, I might add. And then this game against Arminia Bielefeld, who is a team who we should be competing with, who we had a pre-season friendly against, and we couldn't beat them then, but we beat them now 3-1. Hagota with a hat-trick. The league's ours, boys and girls. It's not. I've got a feeling things are going to get a lot more difficult, starting with the Mainz game, but I just thought I'd share our very early success with you before everything falls apart and we start losing quite a bit, because that's probably going to start happening very soon. Fingers crossed. Well, I am just a little bit speechless because I've got you on the financial screen for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, I think my save's broken. The budget is a little bit weird. I can't change it at all. It's been like this since before the transfer deadline date. It's the 23rd of October, and it hasn't changed from this screen whatsoever. We've got money in the club. We just can't change it and put it into the wage budget. I don't know whether this is a bug. I don't know whether this is just a thing that sometimes happens. It is what it is. The other reason is because it currently hides our league position. Why would I want to hide our league position, I hear you ask? Dear viewer, let me tell you. Let me tell you. Better than that. Let me show you. See that? Do you actually see that? We're 4th. We're 4th in the league after 9 games. We've got 17 points. 17! What is happening? We've scored the 3rd most goals in the league. Goals conceded is what you'd expect for a relegation threatened team. But still... It's absolutely insane. I don't understand it. And we've just beaten Leipzig. We've just beaten Leipzig after not losing against Bayern Munich in a 1-1 draw at our place. Let's have a quick look at the transfers that we made. We did make 3 deadline day transfers. 2 of them midfield, 1 of them central defence. And the best of the bunch so far has, without question, been Tanguy Nyanzu. He has been fantastic. And he's a player that if we were going to do a season 2, which we're not, I would very much like to keep. I don't think we would be able to keep him though. The other players that we signed were as follows. Ibrahima Sissoko was not a panic signing necessarily because he is a loan deal, but he very much was a if we didn't get another player. That player being Jacob Ramsey. We wanted him from Aston Villa. He was set to sign, but for some reason, apparently we didn't have enough money. You saw we had nearly £500,000 in the bank. We had the money to do it, but for some reason, it ended up getting cancelled, and we ended up with this guy instead, who, to be fair, in 2 appearances, has been pretty decent. So, all credit to him. He's done a good job for us. And then the other signing is Andrus Kubas. We actually paid money for this guy. We paid the grand total of £5 million, all of it on the Never Never, so we haven't paid a single penny for him up front. And he's been decent. Nothing spectacular, but he's a body to fill a spot, and he's decent. He's got ability, he's got a little bit of potential. He's a current international as well, which I thought was exciting. He's a good player, so I'm happy to have him. Hopefully he does improve. Hopefully he'll just offer that little bit of quality in the second half of the season. In terms of outgoings, we only had one player leave. It's one you already knew about. Timothy Tillman did leave for £1.3 million. Some of that up front, some of that in instalments. He's played 6 times for Hamburg. I've already looked. He hasn't played very well, to be honest with you, and I'm not overly upset about losing him. All of which means our playing squad has looked like this. This has been the 11 that we've been using predominantly. I've only recently made the change to having an offset 4-3-3 with Nelson and Hagata playing up front together, and it has really been a good thing. They have played really well together. The team has played well together for the most part. It has been exciting. And then against the bigger teams, so for example, the Leipzig game, we use this instead. I have tweaked it ever so slightly and turned the intensity down because we've got just a few injuries. Now, bearing in mind, Young, Nagancam, both injured when we got here. Nagancam ruled out for most of the season. Young back in about 8 weeks, 7 weeks, there we go. So that's okay. All of the others have picked up injuries. Cedric Itten, this is his 3rd injury. And it could be down to the formation. It could be down to training, the formation that we had. I don't know. I've tried to turn down the intensity of this one just to see whether it has any effect. I can't bring myself to do it to our main formation because, to be honest with you, if it's working, I don't want to break it. So, yeah, Issen's just not been that good for us at the moment because he's not been able to get out on the pitch. Gideon Young obviously was already injured. Lind, our goalkeeper, has had an injury, but he's due to come back. And to be fair, it's given Buschers a bit of a chance to play, and he's done all right for us. But before that, Lind was doing pretty well as well. Kubas has had a little knock. Meyerhoff has had a little knock since he came back. Since he's come back, he's been really good as well, actually. But the big one's Jetro Williams. I was so excited that we had him at the club, and he's out for the rest of the season. That's not ideal. That means Viergever, our vice-captain, has gone from centre-back, where he's no longer playing because of Nianzou, to left-back. And as you can see, his first game at left-back, he did pretty well against RB Leipzig. Helped us get that 2-0 victory. All of which means it's looking very good for survival at the moment. Now, it could all fall drastically apart. It could all go horribly, horribly wrong. I hope it doesn't. I'm having a lot of fun playing with this team at the moment. Their counter-attacking football in the 4-1-4-1 has been spectacular. It very much comes across as counter-attacking in the 4-3-3 offset as well. It's all just been really glorious, and I just want it to continue. I am starting to fall in love with this team a little bit. I love it as well, especially if we look at things like the team stuff. If we go all the way down here, as you'd expect, at the bottom of salary per annum, we look at the attendance. We have the lowest attendance. We also have the lowest average attendance as well. It's pretty poor on those things. And yet we are just killing all of the Giants so far, or at least not being killed by them. Again, that draw against Bayern Munich, I was exhausted after this game because I genuinely thought we were going to get battered. And get battered we did. They just could not find a way to get the ball past us. With Nielsen getting that goal before they even scored as well. It was ridiculous. The entire run has been ridiculous. As you can see, we're taking the friendlies out. We didn't win a game in September, but so far we have got a 100% record in October. How? I don't know, but we have. I mean, we did so well in September as well. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Long may it continue. I can't imagine it will. Right. I will be back with you once we've got to the halfway point, which I believe is about 17 games. I brought you back after 9 games, so once we hit 17 games, or once we hit the 1st of January, whichever one comes first, I will be back. We'll have a look at how we've done for the rest of that part of the season. Fingers crossed it's still going very well. I can't imagine it'll be going this well. But then we'll see what we need to do in January, if we can even do anything in January with this weird financial situation here. Before I forget, because I did nearly completely forget, save's not broken, budget's fine. It just wouldn't let me change it. So, message from future Stu. Now back to past Stu from like 5 minutes ago from my perspective, but you get my point. Yeah. If we can do stuff, we will, but if not, we'll just press on and have our fingers crossed that none of our other players break. I've just jinxed it by saying it out loud now, haven't I? I'll see you in a bit. Well, the last time you saw me, I think I was talking about how happy I was. And to be fair, I am still very, very happy. I do, however, have one issue, and you can probably hear from my voice that I'm not feeling particularly well. Dear viewer, you are correct. I am not particularly well. What am I not particularly well with? Yep. Managed to avoid it since, when did it all start? Was it 2020? I can't remember at this point. I've managed to avoid it since then, and I've been in close contact with people, and I've still avoided it, and somehow, some way, I've ended up with it. Full disclosure, I'm recording this on, it's technically Thursday the 17th of February, but I'm classing it as Wednesday evening. This is the most well I've felt. My cough is nowhere near as bad as it was. Full disclosure, I felt a little bit rough on Sunday morning. Took a test, was absolutely fine. Continued to feel rough on Monday morning while I was staying over at my other halves, to the point where I actually went home, had a COVID test, came back negative, went back to my other halves. Of course, Monday was Valentine's Day, so that nearly put all of those plans out. And then went about my day as normal, felt rough as anything through Monday, but was putting it down to a cold at that point, because I'd taken like 2 COVID tests, all of them come back negative, all was well. Woke up on Tuesday, woke up really late actually, I was meant to be in work for 3, woke up at like 1:15, so I had very little time to get ready, did my COVID test, went and sorted myself out in the bathroom, came back, looked at my COVID test, and had a bit of a panic. So I've been isolating since then, so this room has become my literal home, so I've been isolated for 2 days. I haven't gone stir crazy yet, but I've avoided making any FM content just because I felt rough. I wanted to stream today, actually, ended up not doing it, but anyway, all of that's beside the point. Just so you know, the reason why I might be a little bit spaced out in this last section of the video is because I'm, in theory, full of COVID. I say in theory because it does feel like a cold, if I'm being completely honest. Nothing about this, other than tiredness, feels different to a cold, and I get tired when I have colds anyway, so I don't know. Anyway, moving on to the normally scheduled programming. We are back, and as you can see, the last few games have led us to a very solid 5th place, which is baffling to me still. I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. As you can see, we've lost 5 games. It is the most in the top 5. And I'm trying to put a spin on it where it's just like, oh, but we're not actually that good. We must be. Like, I don't understand it whatsoever. We have a look at our schedule. So the last time you saw us, I don't exactly remember which game it was. It was probably around here somewhere, in the halfway point, roughly. But since then, as you can see, we've still played well. The second half of the first half of the season, the second quarter of the season, let's phrase it like that, definitely hasn't gone as well as the first quarter. As you can see, we had our biggest loss of the season handed to us by Borussia Dortmund, as you probably would expect it would be them or Bayern. 7-2 away from home at Signal Iduna Park. That was a difficult one to take. I think it was 2-0 to them, then we scored. Yeah, 2-0, then Bauer got one back. Then they scored another couple. They had one disallowed. Hagota then got one back for us. Asta had a pretty decent game, actually. And then they got one immediately afterwards to kind of settle the game, 5-2, and then they just hit us with a couple of quick ones as we tied. I did switch to the 4-1-4-1. I think that was probably the mistake. We've definitely looked a lot better throughout the season with the 4-3-3 asymmetric. However, this tactic did work for Bayern Munich, so I don't know. I don't know why it didn't work against these guys. Maybe it's just a tactics thing. I don't know. But either way, none of that takes away from the fantastic first half of the season we've had, and as you can see on the table, it is the halfway point. 17 games played, 17 games to go. I don't know where we're going to finish the table, because I've got a feeling these 2 games, I mean, I've barely mentioned the last game we played against Augsburg. This one was heartbreaking. I'm not going to click on I was going to click on the full games, apparently we are. 94th minute winner for them. This was a tough one because it was so split. We were probably the better team on balance. I mean, our XG is inflated by the fact we had a penalty, but yeah, that one was hard to take. That one was very, very hard to take. So, wasn't overly happy with that. But halfway through the season, it's all going very, very well. Even if it goes horribly wrong now, we're on 30 points. I can't see us getting relegated. We're no longer scheduled to be bottom of the table. Of recording to the season preview, we are second from bottom, so we have made some progress. We're actually tied with Arminia Bielefeld. So, interesting. I mean, it's interesting because both of the promoted teams are the ones who are scheduled to finish bottom, but we're actually given more of a chance to finish in that playoff position, which I think is very interesting indeed. In terms of transfers and stuff, I'm going to wait until tomorrow. I'm intending to record the second part of this, or start recording the second part of this tomorrow. Hopefully I'm going to feel even more better when it comes to tomorrow, and I'll have a clearer head, because I've got no idea what I want to do on transfers. In terms of the squad, how it's looking, I mean, it's pretty much how you will have last seen it. Bauer's come back in because he moaned about lack of game time. Honestly, I might just sell him, get the money in, and try and bring someone in who won't moan. Jetro Williams obviously out for the season. Nagancam might actually be back. 2 months would put him at the end of February. We might end up having the ability to use him for some of the season, and having him come in would effectively be like having another having a transfer, basically having a new transfer. We have actually sold Dixon Albayama. I don't know whether that happened last time. He's actually going to Fulham. I can't remember how much that one's for. Let's have a quick nose. Dixon Albayama, 180k. It's not a lot of money. I would have liked more for him, but we're getting him off the books. We're getting his wages off the books as well. As you can see, money's not great. And Max Christiansen we're trying to get out as well. 160k, that'll come in. And those two together should not only clear this, but also hopefully it will eliminate. It will give us more money to spend as well. Nuno Sarpay as well. Remember, his wages currently we're paying for. It's not a lot of money, but it is money we can use and reinvest into the club. So, fingers crossed, this transfer goes through, and we manage to do some business in January to improve the squad even further. But even if we don't, I feel like we built a really good team. It's overachieved, and we're more or less job done. Remember, the aim was only to stop them getting relegated. I think it would be very, very difficult to see us getting relegated from here, but it could still happen. Anyway, enough of that. I'm going to go to sleep, and hopefully I won't feel as tired in the morning. I should preface by saying I am okay. I am absolutely fine. I just feel like I've got a bad cold, and I'm a little bit tired than I would normally be. Other than that, I'm absolutely fine. So, with all of that said, as soon as I do that and say that I'm fine, I have a cough, first cough of the video. With all of that said, thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do leave a like on the video. Doubly so today, because look at the state of me. And do subscribe to the channel for more Football Manager awesomeness. I've been StuBo. You guys have been awesome. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.